gorgeous people, and welcome back to Politics Made OK. It has been a hot minute. I've been on break, hopefully you've been on break. Yeah, my Bob Hawke cushion here is even a bit dusty. I have barely been in this studio for like weeks.
I have no memory of this place.
And I'm sure you're all feeling like that about Australia's political landscape because, let's be honest, we all tune out until Australia Day. So what's happened while you switched off? What have you missed? I'm going to bring you the top 10 moments of the last month to bring you up to speed ahead of 2022 really getting messy on this week's show of Politics Made OK. So you've been spending all your time at the beach, or just sitting on the couch, and you have just no idea what's happened in federal politics over Christmas. Never fear, my sweet beach bums and couch potatoes. I've got everything you need to know right here, summed up in the top 10 moments of federal politics over the last month. Coming in at number 10. It's the Djokovic scandal. Now granted, you would have needed to be holidaying under a rock to have missed this. But let me run you through the main details because there's actually quite a few. The first point, which I'm sure you know, is that Serbian tennis player Novak Djokovic was denied entry into Australia because something was off about his visa documents. I'll give you a hint. He had a medical exemption for the COVID vaccine and Border Force didn't really like that. So even though he was due to play in the Australian Open, his visa was cancelled. But that was just the start. The move saw people protesting all over Australia and the Serbian government react with complete outrage at how the Australian government was treating Djokovic. Then Djokovic challenged the cancellation of his visa in a court, which actually ruled in his favour. But the tennis star was still deported. That's because Immigration Minister Alex Hawke just stepped in and overruled that decision. And declared that Djokovic won't be able to enter Australia for like 3 years. So where are things now? Well, heaps of Djokovic's sponsors are reconsidering their deals with him, and the tennis star has even reportedly considered suing Tennis Australia and or the Australian government. But so far there's not really confirmation on that last bit. And suffice to say, our relationship with Serbia is now significantly bruised. And just as we were recovering from the whole French thing. Coming in at number 9. It's the decision to let COVID rip.
Let it rip!
So almost all of the country was open before Christmas, borders were put down, restrictions were eased back, and what we knew would happen, happened. COVID went wild. Australia has now recorded like 2.2 million cases of COVID-19, more than 950,000 of which were recorded in New South Wales alone. Aged care in particular is suffering, with more than 1,000 of the 2,700 aged care homes experiencing COVID-19 outbreaks. Tragically, the death toll has exploded as well, with more than 3,000 confirmed COVID deaths. Yeah, it's really just complete chaos. It's gotten so bad that other countries are telling people not to travel here and are not keen on us travelling there. Oh, how the tables have turned. The opposition, of course, smashed the government from going all 0 to 100 on COVID. And what did Scott Morrison have to say?
If Mr Albanese thinks the answer is to put Australia back into lockdown, then I don't agree with him. I agree with the advice that we're receiving that we need to keep pushing through.
That's right, Australia, we just got to push on and, push through, keep it up, keep going, or...
Just do it!
Coming in at number 8. It's the COVID testing debacle of 2022. Now, you don't need to have been keeping up with politics to really know about this. All you would have had to do is try to buy a rapid test or go to get a PCR test and found out that, well...
Houston, we have a problem.
Turns out we don't have the testing supply to keep up with the explosion of COVID cases. What a surprise! But it's not just a problem here in Australia, as Finance Minister Simon Birmingham put it.
There's a global shortage of rapid antigen tests. It's not unique to Australia. There are global pressures in terms of the huge transmissibility and spread of Omicron.
What is more unique to Australia is the cost. It is getting out of hand. In fact, the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission has raised some serious concerns about the price of rapid antigen tests. The wholesale price for these are around $10 or $11. If you're lucky, you're going to be paying $20 to $30. And in some cases, the ACCC is finding that people are being charged more than $70 out of some small retail outlets. The opposition, of course, slammed the government.
It's time that this Prime Minister actually showed some leadership. Labor calls upon the government today to ensure that rapid antigen tests are available and are free.
But the PM didn't buckle to that because
We're in another stage of this pandemic now where we just can't go round and make everything free.
that said, he did make them free for concession card holders. A lot of governments have also announced that a positive rapid antigen test is enough to be diagnosed with COVID. And huge fines of like $1,000 have been announced for people who don't report that positive test. You know, to stop people from being like, oh, yeah. I mean, is that really 2 lines? I just, we'll never know. Despite all that, getting an actual PCR test is still free. The only thing is that supply of those are also pretty low. So there's testing sites across the country, including right here in Canberra, that have to kind of temporarily close to make up for it. In other words, good luck getting tested, Australia. Coming in at number 7. We've got all the contact tracing changes. This was a huge step by the Prime Minister to change who we consider a close contact and who's not, and really try to ease pressure on all the testing.
And the definition for a close contact is as follows. A close contact is a household contact or household-like of a confirmed case only. If you don't fulfil this definition of a close contact, then there is no need for you to be in that line. You should go home. Go to the beach. Go and do what you want to do. Read a book in the park.
So this really kind of ended that fear and paranoia so many of us have had for so long. You know, going into a cafe or a bar and a couple days later getting that text message on your phone telling you to get tested and isolate because a COVID positive person was there. So it really just leaves one thing to worry about, and that is getting COVID. Coming in at number 6. We've got the call out to international students and migrants to pretty please help fix Australia's labour crisis. So how does one make people come here and work?
What we will be doing is we will be rebating the visa application fees from all those who arrive today and going forward for students over the next 8 weeks. And that is a fee of some $630.
Backpackers will also have their fees rebated. All up, the government will fork out about $55 million in an initiative to put out one simple message.
My message to them is, come on down.
That's right, get your butts down under. It's not like other countries are telling you not to come into Australia. Right? Coming in at number 5. It's another way to fix our labour force crisis. And that is to get children to drive forklifts.
A little to your right. To your right. No, to your right. Brakes.
Basically, there aren't enough forklift drivers. And that's putting way more pressure on the workforce crisis we've already got. And so what is the solution? Do we pay forklift drivers more? Do we try to give employers and employees incentives to get more people licensed? Nah, let's just get the kids to do it. Yeah, I wish I could tell you this was a joke. It was not. The government wanted to lower the minimum age of forklift drivers from 18 down to like 16. Because why not? What could go wrong? That's just grim. The government, though, has since backed down from that proposal. Surprise, surprise. It does make you wonder what on earth is going on in 2022 right now. I mean, we've only had like 4 or so weeks of it, but the government wants kids driving forklifts. Coming in at number 4. We've got more frustration at the government's handling of women's safety. Yeah, we're not even close to done with that issue. The government has for years tried to put together this women's safety plan. Recently, it got to the consultation phase, as you do, and it opened up that phase for feedback for a whole 2 weeks. Yeah, people were not happy, including ex-Liberal staffer and advocate Brittany Higgins. She called this move breathtakingly disrespectful. This is only one small story of a much bigger narrative that absolutely dominated 2021, and I have no doubt will do the same for 2022. Coming in at number 3. We have yet more anti-vax rumblings in Parliament. It came from one of the usual culprits, you know, Nationals MP George Christensen, who's, yep, still around. Instead of disciplining Christensen or really doing anything about him, the PM just urged all of us not to listen to some of the dangerous stuff he's saying.
Do not vaccinate your children. Do not vaccinate your children. I probably could not say that clear enough.
Yeah, that's not problematic at all. While he will remain in the party until he retires at the next election, finally, he did actually step down from being the chairman of the Joint Standing Committee on Trade and Investment Growth. That's like a $20,000 pay cut and like less time on the airwaves and of just talking to other politicians. So that's good, right? Coming in at number 2. It is the long-awaited decision on the Darwin Port. That's right, I'm actually talking about something not COVID-related.
Lord, it's a miracle!
So what decision am I actually talking about? Well, a Chinese company was in 2015 granted a 99-year lease of the Darwin Port. In recent years, deals done between states, universities and local councils with foreign powers and Chinese-owned companies have been really closely scrutinised by the government and even in some cases vetoed. The question over what would happen to this particular deal, the Darwin Port, it's been hanging around for a couple of years now. And the answer to the question of if the deal will remain is yes. Yes, it will. The National Security Committee of Cabinet just found there were no national security grounds on which to cancel it. And coming in at number 1. We've got a slip in the polls when it comes to the government. That's no surprise really, considering everything we've just talked about. The first poll of the year showed Labor had a 35% primary vote, which was up 3% since November. Meanwhile, the Coalition has 34%, which is a slip of 5 points. This is a really big deal because the election's going to be called sometime in the next 3 months, campaigning will begin in earnest, and I know how most of you feel about that.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No!
But don't worry, I have heaps of explainers and laughs about all the madness happening up here on the hill, so please like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you next time on a show of PMO.